struggled here and there in the playoffs, but at the end of the day, we were the best team and we managed to, you know, promote.
1 year and like 2 years ago, I passed like the final exam when you're a student in France, and after you have to choose your study. But there was nothing that was very interesting for me.
Like seeing and hearing all the fans that are there and like cheering for somebody, the feeling you get, like even if you're the underdog, just like it's so nice.
A team in Benelux sought me out, and I played there for a bit in the Pro-Am.
So I was like, the only thing I really like to do is playing League of Legends, and I think I'm good enough to try to be professional. So I just started to go full time.
I saw that I'm good at League, so I wanted to do something with that. So I started to play in tournaments. I played in some Romanian tournaments and in some Romanian teams.
And then I took a break from comp, and then now I'm here.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the NLC. We are back. Just the three of us. Vitas has been left out in the dark after trying to kick initialize off. So we've gotten rid of him smartly and kept initialize instead. Why wouldn't we? Regardless, though, we're about to head into our
unfortunately.
Yeah, well, what he doesn't know is me and Weeder came to an agreement to get rid of Duckling. So that's he's in trouble.
So that's the email I haven't opened yet. Actually, that's what I got in the break. Regardless, though, we are about
still here.
Yeah, funnily, I just haven't been kicked off. Let's see if that happens throughout the game. Regardless, though, it is Vanir versus Nativz up next. Nativz looking to cement themselves at that playoff spot. They pretty much already have, beating every single team in our league except for Verdant, having fallen to them twice. But for Vanir, this is a pretty crucial time to try and step up, because they've won some games and look pretty good, but they've also looked pretty terrible in other games, and they've been on a rough spell on a now 2-game loss streak.
I want to sort of hearken, or I suppose pile-on is the correct term, to Vanir's inconsistency issues.
I want to stick with badger on. We're sticking with that. That's a great phrase. We're using it now.
All right, I want to badger on the inconsistency nature of Vanir. We've obviously seen great successes with the likes of Aphelios. It's a big narrative that has been pushed, and there's also been the question marks about whether Liam Cole can perform off of it. For me, like, just because it's looked so Liam Cole oriented as a team, it's taken away from what other strategies I think they can play. We've seen Harbo perform very well on carries. I said this last week, I want to say it again. He didn't get to play a carry last week. You mentioned it yesterday, Duckling, that he's been playing a lot of tanks, a lot of versatility, what the team needed. I think what the team needs now is another carry.
Yeah, that's a very reasonable way to put it. And look, Nativz had we'll call it sloppy game yesterday. They got dragged down to the dirt. There were a few exit kills they were giving over. They weren't closing as cleanly as they would have liked. But they are still a team with a huge amount of mechanical caliber, particularly relative to this league. And we've seen a lot of these guys go deep to mere mass and stuff before. They are very talented players pretty much across the board. And you do not get to just play hands off in a series like this, in a game like this against a team like Nativz. Please come up with something else to be a little bit spicy and throw a few punches to your own. I'm absolutely with you, Rude Dude. Another carry would be good idea, because I don't think you get a free lane against a guy like Denvox now.
Oh, you certainly don't. And the thing is, what we saw last game, or yesterday, when their team was against Vanir on blue side, they just first picked it, and Denvox can definitely play the Aphelios, so it feels like Vanir can either ban it here, or will be picked up by Nativz, or if Nativz give it up, then I think they are making a mistake, because from what we've learned over the past two game days, Aphelios might have been nerfed, but he's still very strong. He can definitely still be played, especially here in the NLC. So I think for Nativz now, first picking that Aphelios is crucial. They're giving it up though, and now it opens up the opportunity for Liam Cole to get it.
Okay, so two things. One, the Tristana's a really good flex. You know it's going to go into the Aphelios, but I also feel that Nativz might say, fine, but it's a singular carry, and we already saw Denvoxy very willing to go into things like the Jinx yesterday. There are answers into Aphelios. There are people who've been pretty willing to do that. The rise of things like the Varus and the Kai'Sa in the background as well, the fact you can flex that Tristana down the bot lane if you wanted to as well, suggests that Nativz know just as well as we do what's going to happen if they leave the Aphelios up. They must have a plan, and there are a few answers they can still go towards.
So I'm still looking at Vladdy Jace. He's played it 3 times, 100% win rate, hasn't been banned away. Yes,
Split Jace yesterday, not okay.
Exactly, and I think that if you give Vladdy Jace, or at least just like an even okay matchup for it, and he takes it, you are just asking to lose. It gives a lot of wave control early on, and it helps Stefan do some fairly adventurous things on the map. We know that Shikari is going to be a rock up on that top side, and it just adds a extra layer to their composition. So the Kai'Sa gets locked in. Double flex still.
Still a flex, exactly.
Yeah, both mid, both AD carry. We can see where either go.
I will say, though, that as a result of the Tristana first pick, it has left at the ante, and yes, it's not quite as potent as it was like maybe a patch or two ago. It's still very, very strong. It's still a lot of playmaking. It's also damage. It is a secondary threat that I think you were kind of asking for. I feel like if they lock in a Kindred here, I'd be very excited, but I think that would be very risky. I feel like something like the Gnar would make more sense to me because, yes, you can play it for the team fight, but I think we've seen this around the world a little bit more recently where Gnar into what Katana is likely to pull out will be quite frustrating to deal with the Vanir, and when you can really index into things like the Trinity Force into the Hullbreaker, you become a split push threat, a 1-4 threat that's quite hard to find an answer for, and the Annie's never really going to be able to deal with a Gnar in terms of out-pushing at the very least.
And with that, we're heading into the second ban phase with the puppy being locked in. Obviously, stopping some engage definitely has... I can see the strength in this pick in particular. For me, though, the support pool still very, very open. Could definitely be trimmed out here. The Milio has been taken away, yes, but both teams really without a support unless you want to flex the Annie, which I doubt you would. So I want to see the support
Flex
pool
the Poppy.
Do it.
I mean, you could flex the Puppy. Yeah, that's actually a fair point. But as the Nautilus will be the first ban, it seems to signify that supports will be the target of this ban round.
I mean, what have you got? I see you've got an angle you want to go with here.
I have the anti-Rakan source of Poppy support, which I'm going to be propagandering
okay,
until...
no, I'm stopping. I know you don't have a point. That's actually right.
Give it to Sam.
No. I'm saving Solo Q right now. Rude does not get to finish that statement.
You're so real for that. That was some dark technology people aren't ready for.
If it happens, though,
We
I
stay
will
in the
gladly
line.
have you talk about it. If it actually happens, you can go on and on about it.
I just like that brought like shivers down my spine. Refused to countenance that possibility. What I will say though is the Poppy is already quite smart in the fact that it's already into 3 champions with dashes. Like you can help deal with the Tristana, the Kai'Sa pressing R, Nar's got his Harp, all these things that the Poppy has already got fairly decent value, and you can try and play mitigating factor in the top lane should it go out there. You can see where the bans are going. You can see that Nativz are wondering where that Poppy's going already because they've banned things like the Kled. Yes, you can flex the Kled if you want, but with the Annie locked in, unlikely to be going somewhere crazy like support. We've seen a lot less of that lately. And you can sort of see where Nativz are thinking that they're still considering that Poppy a jungle threat at the minute as well.
And what we're missing at the minute from Nativz is consistent magic damage. Now, I want to highlight that Kai'Sa can very easily go a lot of AP, but I am expecting more early game magic damage from Stefan in this jungle. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of that comes from the meta at the minute. Your main champs do just become Lilia, Sejuani. Ivan's already banned away, right? So there's not a lot there for Nativz to opt into. This is just a hover. We have a Aphelios locked in. Surely not. And just stonewall the top lane.
Back.
MLS is back, hopefully.
But, I mean, like, you're into double AD carries. You're into Gnar as well is kind of squishy in the mini form. You've got fairly decent targets to be trying to hit with the ultimate. And generally speaking, a lot of things like the jumps and stuff aren't always fast enough, aren't realistically fast enough to dodge the Malphite ultimate, especially if Flash is involved. So I can see why that's picked in. You can see exactly what Vanir have locked in terms of a front-to-back team fight comp with a lot of pick. Nativz are having none of it, though. They've gone towards Karthus, and I love it. There's the magic damage you were asking for. They get the Leona for some engage themselves. They've definitely got a spicier comp, though. Let's be real.
The one champ I just completely forgot existed. Karthus is a very powerful AP jungler, and now you're looking to your lanes to give you a lot of prio because this is it works a little bit like the Nocturne in the sense that you just want to farm up, you want to get to level 6, and then you want to try and farm gold if you can, expecting first strike from Stefan and just ult off cooldown strategies. Oh, this is such a good counter pick. That is so good versus Karthus. The two just go hand in hand.
What I will also say is that what was going to happen before that Soraka was locked in is you're going to have Tristana in one lane shoving ad infinitum. You're going to have Gnar in the other side with Hullbreaker shoving ad infinitum in the other. And then the idea is the Kai'Sa and Leona would turn up in a side lane, Karthus would press R, and you dive whoever was unfortunate enough to be in a side lane in the wrong position. That was the plan. The Soraka does a decent job of mitigating that. You've already got the Annie, you've already got the Poppy, you've already got the Malphite who've got their own ways to escape or knock people away or throw enough stuns out. I kind of see how Nativz want to play, but I think Vanir have got a couple of their own answers there, as you're saying. That Soraka, a really cool R5 pick.
And I think Vanir are stepping in the right direction here. I like a lot of what they've done in this draft. I like the Annie for Harpo, even though it isn't something like the Syndra, which has commonly been banned away from Harpo because it's just so proficient on it, who is an AP carry I more so prefer for in his hands. I'm happy enough with the Annie. You get the burst damage, you get the AP in there as well. You have an opportunity to carry compared to something like the Scion or the Kazans here or whatever, where you really are more facilitating for the team. Put Katana on that role instead and allow Harpo to do what he do best, which is carry League of Legends games. So I'm very happy with that. I really like the Poppy. I think there's a lot of value in that to try and stop the potential engage as well that Nativz have. It's going to be hard for Shikari to really find the 5-man Naga combo as long as PP if he's in the right area to stop it. So I really like what Vanir have done in this draft. I think they have a shot in this game. Obviously, it is still the underdog team, considering Nativz just have that much firepower, and I do like a lot of what they have in that draft as well. But Vanir, they have not lost this game based on draft, in my opinion.
I think that's fair. What I will say, though, is there is onus on both teams here to be really tracking your global timers. Who has teleport, who has R, that's specifically for the Soraka and for the Karthus. And then later on, things like the Vayne as well, not the Vayne, the Kai'Sa. I'm thinking Vayne spotting rather than, but the point is, if you can find a numbers advantage or at least global advantage by pressing R button on Soraka and Karthus, that is going to be huge. And if you are mistimed or end up with a mismatch in timers, that could get really tricky because Vanir have a great 5v5 and some ways to mitigate the side lane threat of Nativz. If, however, those tools are on cooldown and they are not for Nativz, side lanes become very difficult to deal with.
I think side lanes go both ways, and the specific interaction I'm looking at is the expectation that Shikari is going to get pushed in that side lane later on, and then shadowing from Den Voxnate. It's not something that you'll frequently see, but AD carry looking to help out is when that killer instinct can come in, is actually going to be very important. If you can see the Gnar slam a Malphite into a wall, odds are the 1v1 isn't going to be so easy, but potentially with a Black Cleaver, we'll get to see what build Den Voxnate goes for, whether it's that Kraken Slayer, whether it's the AP style. You either get bonus damage every third auto, or you get yourself the true damage that comes from, or the absurd amount of HP damage that comes from the passive plasma procs.
Yeah, definitely one way of putting it, that's for sure.
PP is a flex master. Last season he was a mid laner, and the season before that he was a top laner. This season he can be found in the jungle.
Huh. That's kind of fun, but didn't we get was it last game as well where Waljo was sort of like where his
got flamed,
got flamed? Yeah, like, by the way, my jungler's diamond too. It's like, wow, that's rough. Just throw it out that one.
That was a nice factor. That was a really
even
nice
I'm
factor.
diamond too.
Yeah, same for me actually.
I played like a grand total of like, I don't know, 15 ranked games this season.
Wait, you got flash already? Damn, okay.
That's big.
Rough, and obviously like. PvPat will be running the Hex Flash, and obviously it's a Poppy who is kind of fine running that Hex Flash, but that's a really good early start. And Stefan, who is on this Karthus, will be wanting to power farm his way to level 6 and getting those farm advantages as fast as he damn well can. And that's a really good start. Knowing where the Poppy is, having the chunking out to begin with, makes this so much easier for the Karthus early on.
So it is going to be that first strike coming through for Stefan, and you may, by extension of this, see some weird-looking Karthus ults. But it is just to farm money. You will see Karthuses with first strike very frequently just ult off of cooldown if they don't think there's going to be a fight on a big objective within the next 2-3 minutes, just because it gives them money, and why wouldn't they?
Yeah, it's called life insurance.
Yeah, as someone who just graduated at business school, I can definitely tell you, ulting on Karthus with first strike is a good investment. It's a lot of money in the bank. It's a solid investment, good return as well. It's one I can recommend, as we do see the junglers comments. Regardless, though, I'm excited to see how Stefan plays this. It's very not his style, I would say, considering what he normally plays. He likes the damage, yes, but I also see him as someone who can also be playing things like the Karthus, more mobile champions, whereas on Karthus, you're very mobile.
So I will put this out there that Stefan is a player who's been playing since season 8 at this point. He's very flexible. Like, he's got a lot of games on. Like, Kindred's his second most played, for example. He's got a lot of time on Viego, which is putting in last year. He has always been quite flexible, even if obviously this split. jungle has kind of been put in the role of maybe you get a bruiser in the Wukong or the Vi, and otherwise you're kind of looking at Sejuani, and more recently, things like the Kha'Zix and the Viego have kind of come up in a response to those. We haven't really seen the AP junglers very much. We're not really seeing things like the Graves that much, so this is a little bit of a surprise, but Stefan playing it isn't that much of one for me in terms of just his history as a player.
I mean, Stefan, part of the ClickTech roster in 2018, I believe, as well, right? That beat OG at the first ever EU Masters. The very stacked OG roster with Insec and expecting the top lane, Froggen in the mid lane, I believe. For
That's a throwback.
That is a long throwback. I remember watching that game as a kid, being like, "How is Stefan beating my idols here?" Regardless, though, OG still went on to win the whole tournament, and Stefan will now just forever be remembered a legend as the team to beat OG.
Way back in the day, I remember that. And of course, Froggen on the Cassiopeia was doing great work. And Stefan, because he knows where everyone's been pathing, just gets to walk in to the enemy jungle and steal away blue buff, and PPBat just doesn't have an option. Look at the pressure in the lanes. There's no way to respond to this.
Exactly. You take a look at them, Voxney and Twist, they're not just pushing with Prio to potentially come Shadow, they're leashing the blue buff for him, right? Like, making sure that this is taken. If this Gromp goes over also, it gets Stefan that super fast 6.
There we go. Alright, well that's a big ignite down to PPBat, who is going to have to be healed by Soraka. Ambulance is there. The emergency care is enough to keep PPBat alive, but the Gromp's still up and they're not going anywhere! First blood about to go over, and it's on to Den Voxney's Kai'Sa. Maybe there'll be some turnaround, but I just don't think there's any ability to come and contest. Smite's on for Stefan, Harbo's at 20% HP. Beautiful use of priority by Nativz.
All of this is really worthwhile for Nativz. I don't care if they're sacking lanes, if they're missing experience. Getting Karthus to level 6 as soon as possible is mission number 1. And Nativz there, not only do they find themselves 2 camps for Stefan, they also find first blood for Den Voxney.
I mean, PPBat having used the flash early on in the game as well after the invade, unable to find the escape without that summoner spell, and that much gold onto your carries here, kill on Den Voxney, assist, and the extra camps on Stefan as well. He's already got the lost chapter there. It's a really, really fantastic start, and I said that I thought Vanir could find a way back into, or find a way to win this game just out from the draft, but these first 5 minutes has just been pure Nativz dominance. This is absolutely crucial, as well as how they scale into the game.
Not again.
Oh,
It just doesn't stop. And look, he's already a level up. He's going to come straight on in.
Smite.
Oh my, he gets everything.
Raptors. But he's jumping forward. PPBat's level 3. He's level 3. There is so little he can do. Every camp is a war zone.
And now Stefan gets to go back to his jungle, clear, top to bot, will be level 6 by the time he gets away with this, has double crabbed, has stolen away 3 camps from PPBat early, and already more than double the farm of this Poppy, who has 1 wolf camp to take at present.
I mean, before I give Duckling a moment to speak as well, I also want to point out that both Den Voxney and Twist are running minion dematerializers. They were using to guarantee shove. Even in a range matchup, they are absolutely using this priority to such a high level right now. It's really cool to see.
This is a horrifying position to find yourself in if you're Vanir right now, right? PPBat, how are you going to be playing the rest of this game? Your whole job will simply just to be a W button to try and persuade any further engage in the team fights, because, I mean, he lost his whole Raptors as well. He's level 3 to level 5. It's looking doomed, to be honest. That is something where you as a jungler would go FF next if you're playing in solo queue right now.
I want to touch a little bit more on your dematerializer point, Initialize, because the tech that we got to see, I think this was the first place I saw it, not sure if you piloted it, but was Uzi playing Vayne in the LPL.
Yes, that's a really good shout.
You use the dematerializer on the range creeps, which now means that given the static shiv nerfs, your static shiv will still clear the backline of minions on first item completion. So on a Kai'Sa champion, where it's not the worst case in the world if you don't clear them because you just walk in, queue, and they all die, but it just makes that wave clear even easier. Those 6 minions get pretty much secured. You auto the first 3 creeps, and you queue first 3 creeps, you auto one of them, the whole wave dies. It makes wave clear on Kai'Sa infinitely easier, and that dematerializer, it may seem a little bit weird for AD carries, but it's a tech that we're starting to see develop.
I also just really like it when you're into a Soraka who otherwise might get the shove, right? Like, it's a way, and it's a Phalios as well, with things like the Infernum, with the ability to just like press Severum and chew it away, is pretty good at potentially getting that priority. And you could see the whole draft here from the side of Nativz is get Prio for Stefan to absolutely murder the jungler. The level 1 flash, the level 1 look in, gets them that. They get to go for the invade. They fight over every camp. And look back at this. What on earth
Why
did
is he going
Vanir
in?
get to do? Harbo's at 20% HP. He's got no options here.
I'm not sure why people had wanted to go in the first attempt either way. I mean, yes, he has his team around him, but as you said, Harbo is 20% HP. You know, Nativz
saw that
already
twist.
rotated. They had the priority in the lanes as well, thanks to the dematerializer. So, yeah, that is a questionable engage. I think if you were Vanir, you should have just given it up, accepted you're not getting your blue buff and not getting your grump. But even without the engage, you would still have been left in a bad situation, losing half of your bot side jungle early on.
And it stems a little bit back to the question marks that we've had about PP Bat pretty much this whole split, that the first few levels he seems generally not on the same page, not knowing particularly what to do, and you know, there is an argument to be made. Karthus is clear, he's unequivocally faster than Poppies.
Oh yes, look at the CS.
He is now level
Christ.
6.
No
is now
way.
level 6. But Stefan being this far
Harbo.
ahead is
Nah, he's
very
dead.
detrimental.
Oh, Harbo, this is not a fun place to be. Oh, Annie, it's time to go join your teddy bear in bed. It is an early night. The child in the mid lane, absolutely eviscerated. Nowhere to go.
I think we have the answer to the song. Annie, are you okay? Annie's not
No.
okay. Holy moly. That's a rough one. Shikari even rotating down as well.
Bloodstains in the
Goddamn.
mid lane.
How many
I'm
more
just gonna
Michael
start
Jackson
quoting
quotes
that at
are
you.
there?
There's so many. That's a really that is a challenge I'm not sure I want to take up.
It's honestly for a bigger stage, I think, than Vanir Nativz in the regular season. Maybe.
Are you downplaying Vanir here? You have to remember, these guys have Danish coaches and 2 Danish players on the roster. This is a big team. Come on.
Look. I think Duckley just needs to beat it. He needs to leave this one alone and come
No,
back
I'm just
to
on my
it later.
copium. I'm coping hard here.
Yeah, that was
Look,
so
it's-
subtle that he didn't even notice. That's the
I
best
know,
part.
I know, great. Yeah, look, I know. Look, it's more. There's more than Denmark in this Earth song, mate. You just gotta move on from this. There you go. I can keep going. Don't
Okay,
make me.
PP Bat is now bot lane.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's clean.
But there's such a clean flash afterwards, and Deadbox has still got the flash and gets to walk away. Captain Jack, is that you?
Impressive stuff. Like, instant cleanse off of that, flash away, and that's PP Bat's pretty much whole play for the next 2-3 minutes, right? Used his flash at level 1 to get away from the Karthus. And now he loses his top side again.
The moment PP Bat took bot, there was about 3 pings from Stefan, and he has just gone fantastic. It is time to hoover up another quadrant of the jungle.
God, look at the CS numbers, guys. Like,
PP, no.
is my
I mean,
red
he's
up?
go-
Do we
He's
think?
gonna realize
it's
it
not.
now when he walks in. There's no red buff for him. There's no Raptors. There is no
Go on.
Santa Claus as
Walk
well.
out.
There is no fairy tale.
Laddie's coming as
ending here
well.
for people
We know
back.
exactly where this is
Oh
going
my! They're gonna go for the kill.
Flash.
They
Stefan
know
flash.
he's gonna be here.
Do it. Commit.
They're either gonna flash over or something. They're gonna jump. Oh, no!
Not
Oh,
again!
no.
The
He's
internet
getting war
cafe.
flashbacks to last week now. I mean, this is not. This cannot be fun for him.
Now,
I mean,
this is an important question to ask. Do we think that if Stefan gets all 4 quadrants of the jungle plus mid lane farm, that he can carry 4v5?
yes, no doubt in my mind.
I think there is a world where that could happen. That's the problem. Like, I think it would be significantly harder. But maybe I tell you what. Let's leave this alone for a second. We have got confirmation from production. I think that what there is a slight.
It is a
connectivity
bloody
to the
mid
mid lane.
DC.
Yeah. So hopefully that gets resolved. We do want that to be dealt with because obviously Nativz playing this game out so well with a comp that was definitely a bit interesting. And I tell you what, guys, maybe should we start there? Actually, it's probably an interesting point to talk with in terms of obviously Nativz are feeling pretty confident about being top 2 in the split for obvious reasons. I am really enjoying the fact that they have pulled out something very, very different with very different win conditions and doing it with pretty heavy style. Yes, maybe not against like the absolute top of the table right now, but if you want to see a bit more from like in terms of like flexibility from teams, options for teams, this is something I'm really happy to be seeing.
It's one of those questions where we always come to the playoff stage and you're thinking, okay, we're sending these teams to EMEA Masters. Are they just a one-trick pony team that does one thing really well that's going to get exploited by other ERLs that have got more experience playing up against better caliber of team? Well, now we're seeing that showcase of Nativz, Okay, they've probably secured themselves top 2 for this split, and at the very minimum, they have almost certainly secured themselves playoff. Whilst it's not mathematically feasible, we expect them to take playoffs anyway. I think regular season is the best time to try and experiment with these new compositions, where you still have stage practice with this style of play, but you're not also doing it in scrims where it's like, oh, is this replicable? Is this something that we can do on a stage game? They are now pulling out in the stage game and saying, okay, we can do it.
But they did not go for the play, though. I was really anticipating them to go for PvP there.
It would have been a little bold, perhaps. I mean, it would have been exciting, but I think it would have been a bit bold. But what is still a 40 CS lead in the jungle that is seemingly just getting larger and larger and larger. And yes, Poppy is low economy, but Karthus that gets ahead is anything but, right? He is a kind of multiplicative force in and of himself, because he just gets to press R and affect the whole map.
Look at his jungle item as well. It's 27 stacks still waiting for PvP before he's able to get his item jungle pit upgraded. There's just 15 left on Stefan. I mean, that's, what, 10 more camps he's taking, considering there's the bonus one that comes in every now and then as well. That is a massive difference here. You can see it in the CS, you can see it in the gold. And I am genuinely fearful of what will happen to Vanir when Stefan starts pressing ultimate, because he's gonna be dealing so much damage.
Well, now when Stefan gets a kill, he's going to get a bounty, and that's probably going to trigger a lot of other objective bounties across the map as well, which puts a claim on his head, and that's the one real way to success for Vanir at the minute, is to take him down.
No way!
My God, that's going with the ult! The Soraka Hill will just about keep him there. Oh, that got very, very close. Clutch Soraka Hill, and that is why that is a good response. But well, he does have to burn Flash for that. Of course, he's a Tristana, so not the worst champion without the Flash. Either way, the ults have been used. Harbo's going to have to back, and they're going to have to also pull off the dragon on Nativz.
I have to quickly point this out. Stefan pressed R. He got enough gold to proc the bounty without getting a kill because of first strike.
You're so right.
Holy
That's unreal.
No way. He was. That just shows how far ahead he already was, right? And now they'll start up the Drake as well. This is absolutely disgusting. Holy, I cannot believe what I'm watching.
There's no smite fight either. This is 900 versus 600 in smite levels because of that level, or because of the smite disparity that you'd already pointed out earlier, Duckling.
And look where the laners are. They're all trapped under their towers as well. There's no realistic way you're getting into that river.
I mean, I know Liam Cole is fantastic on their Aphelios, but I'm not sure even Liam Cole Aphelios can salvage this game anymore. I mean, the early game lead, it is not all doom and gloom yet, right? You can still find your way back into the game, maybe get the big team fight. You do have some tools there if you get them all grouped up together, but still, Nativz have been absolutely phenomenal so far, using their wave pressure as well. The priorities that they have, getting the Drakes, getting your opponent's camps as well. I mean, they've really taken their laning phases, laning leads, and just pushed that to the absolute limit into Stefan.
Some of the criticisms that I've had of Vanir in times gone past is that they always look strong in the early stages of the game but can never close out. They'll make crucial mistakes that end up thwarting them in a game. Unfortunately, this is a bit of a different look for Vanir, where they've just not looked strong at all. They have just been completely steamrolled. And for a team who my criticisms have been in those later stages of the game, where even if they have a lead, they've not been able to close out, this really does spell doom and gloom for this match, with Nativz being 3,000 gold up, having super farmed Karthus already. Their ways back into this game seem limited at best.
I think eyes on next. I'm just looked into Karthus' inventory. I've seen he's on 10 CS a minute in the jungle. Has got a Leandries, has nearly got his jungle upgrade to a full-on Emberclaw. Like, this Karthus is monstrous. And you've got a static Shiv. And, of course, you've got the Nara and the Tristana, who are going to be sideline threats themselves. The sheer amount of just wave clear and shove this team is working with right now, it's going to be very difficult for Vanir to actually put the brakes on, especially if they can snowball to get a few more of these plates with the Herald and stuff before those fall off as well.
Exactly, right? I think you're highlighting a great point, especially that Herald. You still have 1.5 minutes on the plate. You need to use that soon. And it doesn't matter what lane, because it'll be Stefan getting the gold regardless. That's totally fine. Give that man more gold. So essentially, he can just wait and choose, see where an opportunity arises now, and just say, yeah, I want my gold from this lane. But he needs to hurry, because he only has 1.5 minutes to decide, and it looks to be mid lane.
With the Tristana, makes sense.
Get demolished procs. That turret's not quite going to go down to this charge, but it's going to be one, stiff breeze away from falling. If Vladdy wants to pop a couple autos in, it certainly makes a bit of sense. I don't know if it's too early to start talking about this, and I may well just go for it anyway. Now, there's been one plate that's been taken down on the bot side, so the Ultra Super Mega Perfect game isn't on for Nativz.
That was early.
Oh.
But A perfect game certainly seems on the cards this time.
No.
Perfect-ish game.
You have a catalyst. Stefan is one time gonna make a mistake, step too far up and be killed. Don't worry, that will happen.
Alright.
Or then Voxley will suicide with killer instinct. I know him well enough. He's gonna either get bigger and then be like,
just
it's
throw him
time
under the
for
bus, why don't you?
no. I mean, that Voxley is absolutely fantastic on League of Legends. There's no doubt about that. But if he gets like what 5, 6, 7, 0,
I'm telling
and
you,
he feels
he
like he
said
can go
this.
forward, he will.
I will slide into his Twitter DMs later and say, by the way, this happened. Oh, it's another. It's a farm ult, isn't it?
There we go.
Just
More
stacking up the
gold.
He probably
Just
needed to
what
finish an
Hextech
item.
ulted is. We just got he just used it to
I need a
get
bit more
Hextech
gold
ulted
here.
for everyone.
Normally you're like, oh teammates, can we get a turret or something so I can get a bit more gold? No, he just ults and then just farms his investment in there. I mean, this is absolutely bonkers. Just look at the difference between the junglers. If we could see the gold, I would love to see how far ahead Stefan is.
I think it might be a bit inappropriate for stream. Oh no,
That's
2,000.
That's
gold.
2,040 minutes without him having a single kill in his pocket. And now Harbo could be in
Harbo.
trouble.
Does throw down the Tibbers. The turnaround's pretty good. Gonna stop out that keeper's verdict though.
Stefan's going
Oh,
jungle.
Stefan's over the wall. I'm not sure you want this. I'm really not sure you want this. Vladdy gets stunned. Just about survive. Buster shot away on Harbo, and everyone just about gets away with their HB bars intact. But that got a little bit close to the wire for both teams.
I mean, if only Stefan had the break from there, he would have been able to secure 2 kills. Regardless, though, I mean, they get out. He was busy clearing the jungle at the beginning of the fight. I do see some opportunity, though, for Vanir. They definitely still have the damage, and it's not, you know, all too easy for Nativz as long as Stefan is there.
I need to go on.
Yeah, go on.
I
I was
want
I say that, but
to-
I was like looking at the gold lead at the top. That's all I was gonna say. Is like, is it?
It's 5k at the minute, so it's not just Stefan that's exceptionally far ahead. It turns out putting 5 plates into a Tristana also gives her a gold lead, and perfect CSing in the top side is also pretty good for gold. I will say Kitano, I mean, he's done, I'd say, pretty well in this top matchup, given it's Gnar versus Malphite, and he's only 20 CS down this late into the this late stage into the laning phase. That's like decent enough for me, honestly, as a Malphite. One of the small things that, and again, this is a very small thing, very minute in terms of the detail, have to criticize Stefan's ulting from base strategies. Harbo should be fine. What you can do on Karthus is you sell all of your items, buy ability haste, refund it, then build your items back into AP, and you get a shorter cooldown on your ulti, and you use the AP burst from the items. As Vanir may get this Drake.
Yeah, let's see what happens here, though, because the thing is, Stefan is up taking his Herald at the moment. Might look to make his way down. Rikram is up in a couple of seconds, so Nativz could still fancy a fight.
Oh, thinking about it, but again, it's not necessarily the strength of their comp. And they decide against it for now. Into the jungle, though, we go as the top side of the Harbo does to use the stopwatch. We'll throw down the ultimate. The burn comes through. Soraka has to pop the ult as well, but now they're down that. Kitano misses the ult because of a good flash from Foxney. Fight now still available. Keeper's verdict will knock one member away. Peepat taken low, though. Into the wall is Stefan, but he's so hard to deal with. Is this the moment? The perfect game is ruined! And they get one back.
They did already lose the Drake. Sam, I'm gonna have to pull you up on that one.
True.
Drake counts for perfect games, but Nativz batting off just a little more than they can chew, and this is something that Vanir, through the mid game, have certainly turned up on, finding these team fights where they should be finding leads, or maybe shouldn't be finding leads even, but are managing to come back. Poppycopter to step away Stefan, who is by far and away the scariest member on this team, and then take a fight afterwards, was very well played.
Yeah, that was absolutely massive. I think if he got either Twister or Vladdy with him as well, either way, it ended up being Shikari and then Voxner isolated. And I mean, yes, while they are still far, you know, they're ahead in every single lane, they are not massively far ahead in every single lane to the point where as long as Stefan isn't here, they can just win the fight straight up. A good knock into the wall for Pipibat, who has had a rough early game being camped out. He has been showing up in the one fight that's been there so far, and if he can keep putting up those performances, Vanir are still in this game.
And I think it's, you know, also I've got to call out, I said Stefan, it was Shikari got killed. I'm a bad human, I'm sorry, I should have been better. But what I will say is that was also a fight just before the second items were complete. Now look in the inventory of Voxney and the inventory of Stefan. The second items are in. They are now at a greater point of power than Vanir, a lot more categorically. That kind of moment before second items are complete is often a moment where teams behind will try and find a way back into a game. And maybe, just maybe, Vanir will try and defend this top lane. I just don't know how much they can do.
It's gone. It's gone instantly. The thing is, Vanir could be looking to fight. They're rotating up 4 members. Harbo did have TP as well, but Kitano, without any magic resist really to his name, just takes so much damage from the burst from Stefan, and with that, It won't look for any opportunities, just a free turret there for Nativz. Still Herald to play for as well as Stefan here has it in his pocket, so there are more opportunities within the next couple of minutes for Nativz to try and corrode this lead with more turrets.
I have a request for our observers. The next time we see what I'm going to call an economy Karthus ult, where he just ults for seemingly gold purposes, go back to Stefan. I need to hover over him to see the first strike gold pop up afterwards. This is,
That would be
like
great.
I say, for a little bit later on, if we see Stefan just do a YOLO ulti to see gold come through, that's what I'm after, because he got plus 54 for 2 Qs onto Kitana right there. I'm thinking that the ulti does maybe a little more damage across the team.
Possibly. Heatbat's gone forwards here. That means the Twist's going to be potentially looking to go back in. The Solidify comes through, but this is going to be a 3v4. People like him very, very low.
Hey,
The Wish
Garfield.
comes out, the Igniter's on, and the
already
Wish
dead.
is for nothing.
Wait,
Stefan gets the kill with the burn, and now, actually, maybe a bit more follow-up. I think it'd be risky to go under tower Den Voxnay, so I suggest against it for now, but now a siege onto a tier 2 can begin. The AP damage beginning to hurt just a little bit. Herald number 2 as well. This tower's gone. It's going to be a tier 3 charge.
yeah.
Ouch.
It certainly is. And they're gonna get tier 2 in the mid lane as well. Kitano can't
no.
stop that either. I mean, they're snowballing this lead heavily, up to 8,000 gold now. They're in full control. Stefan got the kill there as well, so the gold is going on the right targets. Everything is looking good now for Nativz.
This is a great example of kills not being needed to win games of League of Legends. We are 4 kills total, 20 minutes into a game. You will see LCK, LPL games where no turrets have been taken with this kill score, but Nativz in this game have got an 8,000 gold lead, have already broken open the Vanir base just by using lane control to get Stefan money.
And on top of that, right, like we said, it was like it's 8,000 gold. That's huge at this point in the game. But it's also the rate of growth. We were talking about this gold lead 2 minutes ago, and that was 5,000. They just got 3,000 gold off that shove effectively. Towers in bot lane, they get that shove into mid, they get kills. Like, there's not a lot more you could ask of that play. And if this keeps snowballing away, yes, you've got a better team fight. But if you're trying to team fight one item, 2 items to 4 or 3, that is so hard to do, especially with just the raw amount of damage Nativz have on the board.
And the thing is, Baron now on the map as well. Losing a fight of your Vanir just becomes that much more critical, because that means the Baron will go over into the hand of Native. We can see how many turns have just managed to take without that buff being there. And with the Baron buff in Native's pocket, they would surely be able to break open the base and maybe just even end the game there. So now we need to be even more careful about being picked off, especially PPBad, who just can't afford to die because he has that smite.
Also worth pointing out here, and I would like to sort of maybe start this discussion before Dragon starts. I don't feel Vanir have any real way of contesting. Vanir drafted for the team fight. They drafted to try and pick off these squishy members and deny the ability to pull off these side lane plays with all the globals and stuff that Nativz has about. That's fallen apart because of how far they're down in the early game. Like, what actually is their play pattern to come back into this? Because at the minute, it doesn't feel like they're ever going to get a 5v5 that's resembling
In any way favourable. Yeah. The play pattern is honestly replicate what they did to find their first kill. It's knock away probably 2 members with the Poppycopter and try and blow up somebody in the interim. Because Kitano has enough lockdown with the Unstoppable Force, you can slam said person then into a wall, try and find a kill there. The issue is, we're at this stage in the game and we're at a gold lead, where knocking one person away probably doesn't matter who it is. Nativz will still have the gold lead in a 4 versus 5. That's why I say it needs to be 2 people that you're knocking away to give you any discernible chance at trying to come back into this fight. Now, Liam Cole has hit 2 items. I think when Harbo hits Void Staff, that one-shot capability onto a squishy exists. Quick, look at Stefan, look at Stefan.
Oh no, he's...
How much money?
Gold.
No!
He was able to
No
buy the second needlessly large rod.
Roger,
on the back
I
of
know,
that.
but he's very close for death cap right now.
And the thing is, he has already Flame Horizon PvP
Yeah.
in just 21 minutes, I think it was. Absolutely
Is that
unbelievable.
an over-under or when Nilla did it yesterday?
Unsure, actually. Unsure. I can't remember when.
I need to
when
go back
they
and
said
look at the
Flame
VODs. It
Horizon.
was pretty fast there as well.
Yeah, very, very fast. But he was also absolutely crushing it.
But I will also say, it's a lot harder to do in the jungle. Like,
Yeah.
generally speaking, you don't get access to anywhere near as much farm in the jungle. This is a monumental play by Stefan and the rest of Nativz to set him up.
Ooh.
Oh, twists. That was an unfortunate moment.
Yeah, very, oh! Generally,
Wait,
great flex, though.
maybe the turnaround here could be fairly okay. I'm just going to point that out there, that you've lost a member, Baron's up, they're in the right area. You've just burned Flash on
Maybe.
Stefan. How greedy are they feeling? Not going to happen. Okay, it was a fool's hope to begin with. I will also say that's the second fail Flash I've seen from Twist this game. Come on, sort it out.
This game he's
No,
allowed, I
bot lane
think.
skirmish as well. I know.
Well, you should
We need
carry.
to pull him aside. Coach needs to have a word with him in the halftime break.
We're both seeing this, right? Carries on the Nexus turret.
Yeah, I just want to talk about it. It's fine. Don't think about it too hard.
Oh,
What's going on?
maybe-
All right, fight going on. Deadbox needs to flash away, and the health bars are very low. Good shield come through.
Oh,
Be back.
Liam
Take
Cole.
down. Not out. Maybe the turnaround's going to hit Liam Cole. Will get healed back up.
There's
And
no
now
Rick from
actually with
Cole.
that pick. How much further can they think about going? Baron is up, but remember,
They need
as you were
to
saying, the
reset.
split threat is so hard. Are they almost forced into doing the Baron, or is that all?
No,
they're
no,
gonna
they
get
can't
here?
because if they wait too long, Stefan will get the Requiem back up, and then he will just be having a gold mine with all the kills he'll be farming. Oh,
true,
that was
true.
so close, Liam Cole. Had he had maybe half an item more, he would have had the damage. He had a flash forward there. So close to turning the game, really, you have to feel, but unable to.
Vladdy's Buster Shot is what we need to call out there as MVP material. The second Liam Cole flashes in, Vladdy goes, no thank you, buddy. I appreciate the fact that you could kill us all, and I'm going to deny you that opportunity. Very, very clutch ulti there from the Nativz mid laner, making sure that his team stays alive, and honestly making sure that this game doesn't swing even just the slightest bit toward the Vanir side of this rift. It is still very much a Nativz flavoured game. The fact that they've broken open a mid lane inhibitor or a bot lane inhibitor, sans Baron, actually impressive in its own right. And with Hullbreaker for Shikari, I think he's just going to keep barreling down that bot side. He did good work on that tier, on that Nexus turret already.
I will also say that we're kind of seeing the two sides of the Nativz comp here. Because when it's played perfectly, insanely oppressive, so little you can do. You see one fail flash, and suddenly Twist gets picked up, and then you get a pick on to Voxney as well. And you can see, for all that it is strong when played well, the moment someone makes an error, it's very punishable by Vanir's comp. They've got a lot of pick tools, and they made the right play. I just don't know whether it's enough. Baron's been started, and Vanir are going to try and come and contest.
Yeah, there is so much pressure on this Baron now. Really, that's where our eyes are at. But the thing is, if Kitana wants to join the fight, yes, he could TP in. But when he TP's in, they just lose the game. Then we're back to Worlds 2020, where TSM traded the Baron for the game. And I don't think Vanir want to see themselves in that same situation. Harpo, though. Almost. He actually got Stefan. I think Stefan's dead. No. Oh,
No, he's not. He's just about alive. Needs to run away, though. Find a way to recall. Will be just about fine.
Stop him. Will they see him? Liam Cole?
Tries to go back in. That's a decent amount of chunk of PvP is here in the flank. Twist about to die for this one, and that will give license to start up the Baron. Stefan has not been able to recall. Voxney taken so desperately low, and this is a big moment. Voxney's AP threats will be huge. Has to force out the wish with the ultimate from Karthus. On the Baron, they go for Garfield, taken so low. The Leandri's burn forcing a delayed reset. Harbo is very, very low as well. Vladdy at a high HP bar.
TP
He's still
Kitana, he
using
wants it.
so much work. TP coming through.
Stefan hasn't reset.
Stefan so low. He hasn't been able to. There's just no room. Kitano gets a kill onto Voxney. Baron is secured. And Vanir finds the miracle picks. They are going to start to go on turns on. Stefan so low. He's going to go as well. And Nativz are being taken apart of the Baron pit.
A triple kill for the Malphite, maybe not the gold lead that we were expecting Nativz to fumble. This is the second game in a row now where we've seen them have struggles to close out a game, and this one, much more domineering a fashion than they were in than yesterday. The Baron goes over to Vanir. They're going to be able to steal away another dragon, which delays that soul even further, stopping Nativ's win condition in its tracks. And slowly, gents, we're seeing the Liam Cole Aphelios prophecy come truer and truer by the minute.
Boy. I'll also throw this in there. It's again where the exit kills to plays are plaguing Nativz. They were trying to reset off a Baron bait, and Liam Cole just a Gale Force in. Stefan doesn't get to reset. And how much work do they do from there? Huge swing. And look at the gold lead. It's back now to only 3,000 in the favor of Nativz.
But this kind of ties back into the game Nativz had yesterday against Nord. They had a massive goal lead, but all of a sudden they were struggling to close it out, and they were getting ever so slightly closer. But Nord were able to still find the kills to get themselves back into the game and keep the game relevant. Vanir have done just that now as well. Yes, the game is still in Nativ's hand. Yes, there is only one Nexus turret standing between Nativz and the win. But Vanir, I mean, they're keeping the hope alive. They're getting their items on their carries. 302 on Liam Cole. The prophecy still lives. We all saw the damage Harbo was able to do, almost one-shotting Stefan. So he is also relevant in this game as a carry. So Vanir definitely still live here, but Nativz, they're the ones who we'll see if they can close it out.
Oh!
No way!
Voxney just deletes
but he's dead though.
It's a moment of beauty that's immediately turned around. AD carry for support. That is going to be Vanir favored for now.
I called it. That was exactly what I thought he would do. Earlier, when I said it, he would just jump in when he saw the opportunity.
All that to be said, that this is now Vanir getting a push 4 versus 4 on the map, where the enemy AD carry is out of the game, and they've got Baron at their back. The gold, again, swinging closer and closer to parity in this match. Vanir take down the mid-tier 1 turret, which is not only great for gold, but more so great for map pressure, then being able to sneak into the bot side of Nativz jungle, make sure that they can put a couple wards down. Future Dragons going to be a little bit easier to set up for us. But looking for Vladdy isn't going to find him necessarily. I do want to quickly mention, though, all of these points about the Vanir composition coming back and certainly having power later on, it's exceptionally true. Nativz composition still scales absurdly into this late game, right? Karthus, Tristana, Kai'Sa are all demons as we hit the late game. Tristana, the longest range AD carry in the game. Karthus, one click, kill your entire team button. And the Kai'Sa, poke that is disgusting from 3 screens away. Despite Vanir's great comeback into this game, it's still a very difficult composition to play against in the late stage.
The only thing they have to be a bit afraid of, though, is the 5v5s around these objectives are easier to execute for Vanir. It's not the Nativz don't have tools to pull them off. They've certainly got enough damage there and some good flanks and all the rest of what we've just been talking about. They can play around those objectives. They can look to tear the map apart with some of their split push threats. But Vanir have got the easier go buttons, and that has been helping them pick their way back into this game. And it feels like just maybe, more than just maybe, frankly, they can close out this game and punish Nativz for being a little bit greedy in some of their resets.
What I'm looking for now, it's Harbo, right? How close is he to getting that Ravenous Death Cap? He's almost there. Already has the 2 needlessly large rods, as might be looking for something. When he gets that Ravenous Death Cap, rather I should say, he's able to one-shot anyone except for Shikari. So if he finds a Stefan, if he finds it in Voxner or Vladdy, they will all just disappear. But the problem is, as we see, Nativz are splitting the map here and they're cancelling the recalls with the Requiem. Could they end the game?
I don't know if they can do that, but they've got inhibitors that they can certainly look to get off. It's going to be a TP out. They get the inhibitor in bot lane and the Nexus tower in top. Sorry, inhibitor tower in top. That's a worthy trade right there. Great ult from Stefan to prevent the recalls.
It's just really good 1-3-1 play here from Nativz. The fundamentals starting to come back to them. DV has flash. I think that Kitano knows that there. Just holding his ult, knows that he doesn't really want to trade that for Denvox Name Flash at this timer, just because there's a Drake soon, Baron soon. Malphite without ulti. Not nearly the same beast as one with it.
Question now becomes, I wonder, do Nativz actually want to play for this dragon, or do they just want to sit there and be obnoxious and let the split pushers do their work?
So,
they've actually got a Nexus turret down.
Neither team needs to play for this dragon, right? It's not soul for either one of them. The Baron is a much higher objective for both of these two teams. Your option is maybe keep Vladdy on the bot side of the map so that he can sneak it away while you're doing top side prep. Den Voxney is where our eyes should be looking at when we're looking at these objectives. He's got the Void Seekers, he's got the big poke to keep people at bay, and by extension, it's then looking at Garfield to see how well he can keep the team topped off, how much HP he's having to give back to his teammates when the poke is landing. The Kai'Sa Soraka war in the late game is going to be very important to keep track of.
If just Harbo could get that level 16 on Rabadons for the next fight, it would be absolutely crucial. His damage would skyrocket in the burst combo, but the thing is, being grouped up so early, denies him the opportunity of getting any gold and any XP really, and with the poke here from Den Voxner, forcing Garfield to heal his team up. Drake has now spawned, 15 seconds still on the Baron. Let's see if they split the map, how they'll play this. Shikari has TP if he wants to TP to the bot wave, there's 2 super minions on it.
Dragon has started over the wall. They go to Harbo, who is taken so desperately low. But once again, Wish prevents the easy pick. It was rougher in the early game. Den Voxner goes in, gets a huge chunk, will not get any more. Out comes the ult from PB-Bat. They're going to throw down the Requiem for a vast orbital strike. The burn onto Harbo. Not quite enough, and a Molten Shield will keep them alive, but they have to reset. They cannot be here for Baron, and there are minions all over their base.
And this is why I said teams don't need to care so much about this dragon. Yes, Vanir secure it, but it comes at the cost of this Baron. Now, if Nativz don't end the game, this is worth for Vanir, and if they can maybe find the soul in 5 minutes time, then they risk versus reward has gone their way. But for now, they've got an ungodly siege to try and defend against, and it's not going to be easy.
And how often do you say this? It's Malphite that's stuck between the rock and the hard place. Where does he go on the map? You've got 2 split pushes to deal with. You've got an inhibitor down, an exposed inhibitor on the other side, a Nexus turret down. And yes, you've got options in the 5v5, but you can see when Nativz are able to pull off the split push without getting caught elsewhere, it is so difficult for Vanir to find a response.
Voxnay Flash is the real key tool, I think, to how this split push gets to be played. If Voxnay's got Flash, he's never really in danger of the Malphite. If he doesn't have it, that's when engages can come through very easily for Vanir. Harbo's Flash as well, by extension, just as important as PP is looking for the Kai'Sa.
Voxnay has the cleanse as well, though. Liam Cole on 4 items has the GA. But they just have to play the team fights, but I don't think Nativz will let them. Just 2 men in the side wave, 1-3-1, set that up, it's clean, just buff the minions, Harbo will struggle to clear them. I mean, this is standard League of Legends, and it's good at PP-Bad.
Oh, another Q might think about doing it, but there's a quick heal in from Garfield, just about topping up PP-Bad, who has to flash out from the solar flare to add into the insult to injuries. He was getting close to getting 3rd-degree burns from the sun. The sunscreen not strong enough in this one so far, and the shove commences, the pressure commences. Yes, you're down 4 kills, but look at the map state, look at your base. Vanir, can you hold on? Inhibitor number 2 falls, and then Voxnay throwing up more and more of these Void
It's a
Seekers.
fight here.
Oh, here we go. They try and get onto Stefan. They get a choke, but the turnaround is huge. There's the knockaway. They'll get some damage back. Stefan will be forced into his life beyond death. Will instead pull out a Requiem. Is it a swan song for the game? Not quite. The health bars are low from Vanir, but no one is dead. Yes, you get a kill, but again, you lose an inhibitor. Again, your health bars aren't there. They've got 1 Nexus turret remaining. You have to stop the shove.
4v5. They've got 1 minute to hold off the Baron.
Oh, it's a big knock!
Back. They do get the Soraka. They get Harbo as well, and now it's a 3v4. Liam's Coles of Aphelios will begin to throw out the Chakrams. Green-white is enough danger to maybe get some damage back. A buster shot away will force a disengage, and Nativz cannot close, but they do critical structural damage.
They've done it though, Vanir. They've held off. That Baron is going to wear out before any push comes through. Now is when we see Vanir get funneled gold. 3 waves of double super minioned up waves flying into the Vanir base, and it looks like their bot inhibitor is just going to respawn as well. One small semblance of hope for the Vanir side. Now Liam Cole gets to farm up an absolute storm, hit that 5th item. Max level, max item Aphelios for a very important Drake fight. 90 seconds away. Vanir need to trim top lane, trim bot lane, and push those waves out as far as possible. Make a last stand at the soul to give them a way back.
I like how easy you say it is, but you're trimming how many waves against a comp that has been designed to just shove you into base. Don't be deceived by the kill score. We've seen it all game. Yes, Vanir can find picks, but can they find an advantageous map state? They need a team fight that gets them more than just 1 pick, that gets them more map state than just this.
The problem is, can they get the team fight, right? We've seen Nativz be so good at splitting the map, and that's just what they need to do one more time. The inhibitors are still open, 5 minutes somewhat still on that middle inhibitor, for example. So, yes, they can go down to the soul, but they would just lose their Nexus. It would either be Vladdy, Steph, or Shikari who just goes in and ends the game. So the thing is, you're trying to force a team fight, and Nativz can just say, no, we'll just end the game if you want to force the team fight. So then you have to take it in a Nexus. And all of a sudden, we're in a whole different situation where Nativz could just look to try and end the game before the teamfight really erupts. Liam Cole, though, 4 builds, 6-0-3 on his patented Aphelios. If there's anything that could bring Nativz to win, it's him. As Katana looks to pick off Voxnay.
Teleport coming in. Voxnay will throw out the ult on the other side. In comes the Requiem. Massive chunk again forces the wish in response. Ult for ult has been the way the entire game. But that will force Vanir back. They've been losing their health bars, but not members this entire game. Inhibitor number 3 once again down. Vanir pinned back into their base. And Nativz will decide not to shove and instead look towards a dragon. Try and tear Vanir away from their next defense.
I think Duckling's point is actually way too powerful here. There's no fight around this Drake to be had, because if anybody steps out of this base, Nativz send double TP forward and they just end the game. So this is, I guess, the benefit of them having taken that earlier dragon, which cost them the Baron, which led to their Nexus being exploded, is that they now didn't lose soul. It's a very, very thin veil of hope that we're throwing Vanir's way, and with a minute left on that Baron, those inhibitors aren't going to be respawned in time. Decidedly not the bot lane one. Maybe there won't be super minions in mid and top when that Baron spawns, but it's still going to be a very close run thing.
5th item in for Liam Cole. He is now 5 items. How many times has Split has the story about this guy's Aphelios come through? He brought it up again this game. He is in position to try and save everything, pull out the miracle, or at least pull out a 9th tier spell in the wish. This was D&D. You know exactly what kind of fight this would be. The big bad evils of Stefan on this Karthus and the rest of Nativz looking to close out. It's been a very interesting game that a couple mistakes cost them their nearly insurmountable advantage.
The thing is,
4
right,
minutes until Seoul.
the longer the game goes here as well, it will be mainly Liam Cole soaking up these mini waves, and that doesn't really make a difference. He's already full build, while then Voxname and Bloody continue to clear out the waves, continue to get stronger. Harpo, for about the past 10 minutes, hasn't really been CSing, to be honest with you. And the problem about that is, when your other carry is on full build, it should have been Harpo soaking up the waves, but his wave clear is just not good enough, so it will be Liam Cole on that duty. As soon as this Baron spawns, Native will just take it, and then they can, really try and assemble that final push. Vanir have one fight left, and that's at that Nexus, so they have to stop them before they start hitting it.
Super minions aren't spawning top, they aren't spawning mid lane, it means that the inhibitors are going to spawn soon. You need to see them force a fight at these inhibitor respawns. If the Natives roster can walk in with Baroned up super minions, it doesn't matter if you take a fight at your Nexus, the minions are going to end before the fights even come to its conclusion. A fight at the walls of your base has to be taken, and Vanir, they're already behind on that.
It's time to go back to Thermopylae. 300 must hold the line. They must do the best to turn around what feels to be an absolutely unstoppable tide of minions and power coming in from Natives. They're at the Nexus, and then again, an inhibitor respawns. Again, it falls to Natives. Vanir trying to find an angle to get into the backline, but in comes the ult. It'll be a Wish responding afterwards. There he is, keeping people alive just about, but look at the Nexus. BBBat will knock away Vladdy, who was trying to get people in, but already they finally lose a member. It's been a while since we've seen a Vanir member fall. BBBat has to run away. Shikari starts hopping on forwards. He's mini now. Harpo throws out an Incinerate.
Oh, but he just missed the game.
Zappen has to flash away, but it's gone. It's over. Natives finally close it out. Vanir, heroics, yes. But in the end, it's a tragedy. They cannot make it happen. And Natives, what a fun comp. What a stressful way to end the game.
I mean, 1-3-1 practice. That's the is that the takeaway here, right? Because like for a while, I was like, am I just watching Natives play passive aggression? Like, are we just like not against killing anyone in this game? Like we go into like 38 minutes played, and there's like 3 kills on the board from them, right? Like it's holy moly, what a game! And also, I see you guys already talking about the MVP in the chat here. So Initialize, I'm gonna throw it over to you because talk about Stefan's early game jungle gapping.
This is why jungle is a team sport. Stefan is given the Karthus. His team is then designed to set him up for success. They scout the Poppy level 1. They get the flash off the Poppy level 1. They know where Poppy is starting level 1. Stefan clears faster than Poppy. His bot lane has taken double dematerializers. You've got a Tristana in mid lane who's going to get shoved. And you suddenly realize that you now have absolute priority despite, the ranged matchup discrepancy in bot lane. And Stefan, clearing faster, turns up a Poppy's blue buff before she's even got the damn quadrant. And the gap goes on from there. Every minute you look back, there's 10 more CS for Stefan. He flame horizons in the jungle. And that Karthus, yes, you had the smart R5 pick of the Soraka to try and mitigate the ult damage, which honestly saved that game multiple times in some ways in those fights. But no one could ever match the Karthus in terms of just the raw damage was being put out.
I want to talk to you about the way that this comp was drafted and put together, right? Because you have technically you have the AP carry in the bot lane with Voxname playing Kai'Sa here, but the very key itemization from how I see it to support this 1v1 was that static shiv. I thought that item was gone. We saw it twice yesterday, now we see it again.
Yeah, it's not gone, unfortunately. It still has, really good AP ratio scalings when you're doing damage to champions. It also, when you take things like Dematerialize, like we saw earlier, it's still able to clear minions out quite easily. And the Kai'Sa in the mid lane was just always safe. And to hark back to the point about a 1-3-1, if you've got safe wave clear, you have a very, very good 1-3-1 in the broad scale of the map. It's something that Natives punished on time and time again because Harpo couldn't handle Vladdy in a side lane. We saw Kitano do his best to try and handle the top side Shikari was putting up, but again, it's Nord versus Malphite. That's a losing hand going in. Natives, whilst they had a ropey mid game, decidedly ropey, they were using that 1-3-1 well pretty much throughout.
Natives, I think, for me, I want to highlight the same arc we saw yesterday against Nord kind of resurfaced again here, right? Natives get an early lead, they look really, really good, and then when they have it to close out the game, they give up a couple kills that they shouldn't, they lose some objectives here and there, and you start to think maybe, just maybe, This time the 1-3-1 was simply too oppressive. They were too good at playing it for Vanir to really have a chance. In the end, they couldn't take down DMCO, but they could take down the Nativz of Vanir, and that's enough to win you the game. Yesterday, it was Oman being caught out once. So I'm seeing some positives with Nativz being really good at playing the early game, but closing out the games have been a little bit more difficult recently, but still one of our strongest teams for sure.
I agree with a caveat on this one, because it was a different way of dealing with it from Nativz this time around. Because obviously the moment a comp like this begins to have the gap closed on them with things like bounties, actually that teamfight comp can play from behind pretty well, because whoever Malphite ults, they're not going to enjoy it. And all of these things, Limnian, Coles, Aphelios, gets to the item threshold to be a danger. Everyone else, it doesn't matter. Like the Aphelios is in line, you're good. The Malphite can hit good targets, great. The difference was, I actually think Nativz triaged the kind of mess better this time around. They didn't commit to just more and more messy fights the same way. They actually played around, okay, things are a bit tighter. Let's get Shikari and Vladdy to split push a bit more freely and try and make that more of a win condition. And I think that was smarter play in terms of dealing with the mess they made this time around, even if, again, they did make the mess.
Yeah, and so with these messes here, right, and again, I'm actually kind of annoyed. I don't think any of you put this pawn onto the broadcast. But you could say that PBBet got battered around, by the way. I don't think any of you actually used that. And I can see the sense of realization on your face.
It's because we hold ourselves to higher standards, that's why.
Yeah, that's just not cricket, is it? Come on. You know,
I mean, it might be crickets after you drop that one. Hey! Oh.
The Ashes results hurt. I don't really follow cricket that heavily. We're just going.
I don't run a good though, right? Like I played cricket once when I was at boarding school, and it might be the most boring game I've ever played. I will say I'll put that one out there. I don't know what you Brits and other great people of the world enjoy about that sport, but isn't it just like slower baseball? And even baseball is really bad.
Baseball's. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to leave that one there. One day
I don't think it's important.
This is
it's my general takeaway. Yeah.
I mean, all right. Well, what I will say is I do want to give some credit over to Vanir, actually, because considering the really awful situation they were in, they did their best to try and force picks, and actually they did force some mistakes. Actually, we did see, I think the big one for me was the twist fail flash that led into the pick, that led into the Baron, and actually that whole semi-comeback was actually really well managed, because you could see that if you could force errors and prevent the easy resets, things could get tricky for the side of Nativz, and I want to give credit there. The problem was that for all they were finding these picks, the map state was always awful, because every time they get a pick, the best they really got was a couple dragons, which never really got them to a soul. They got one Baron that got them like a turret, and all the while they were trading inhibitors for it. So every time, like, the problem is all of these kind of picks didn't earn you advantages, it just fixed poor map state. And that's a really hard thing to deal with. The kills looked good, sure, but what do they actually earn you?
I don't know, let's ask the Vanir coach, Hepskull, about that one. He is on the line here with me. So, Hepskull, hello again.
Hi.
We speak again.
Yeah.
Just like yesterday. I don't know how much of discussion you heard from Initialize about you guys having a pretty poor map strat, because it looked like for a while you guys were able to come back into it, but by the time you guys were kind of matching them, you had lost way too many structures to kind of come back into the game?
Yeah, I think like we had a rough early game, and that's also set like the mood for the rest of the game, right? So we didn't really do the best early game. They get prior on 2 lanes, invade our jungle, and from that part on, they just took advantage of their champs and also the way they played the game. So I think like we had a rough start, and that set us back in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I kind of want to like ask you about this jungle matchup, right? Because Puppy and Zakafis, I mean, there was the other way around. The pace wise, really, right? But like, it's a pretty tough matchup because you're just getting outfound. You need to scale into it, right? But did you guys like expect to fall? I mean, you never expect to fall this far behind in a matchup like that, right? But did you expect like the complete like hyper focus on Prio with the double minion dematerializer in the bot lane, etc. from the other team?
No, so they are smart with the dematerializer, and they also, like, I think a matchup like this where you have like jungle versus jungle and you are afraid of the enemy invading with double prior, you need to be creative with your pathing, and that is something that we didn't really do today. I think that's also, you know, you need to think about, should we cover dive, should we, like, what should we think about when these situation comes, and they had a better read on the situation than we did, and I think that shows like just their team as an experienced team, and also how they play out an early game like this. So yeah, I think that's really really great for them. They did a really good job early game, and it shows later on.
So one final question here before I let you go, right? So not the best week here for you to like kind of get the second week of the second round robin going, but I want to talk to you. Are you seeing like positive trends in your overall gameplay as a team in terms of improving?
Yeah, I definitely think like we are improving. Also, like I think it's hard we didn't get like as much scrims as we wanted to, so that is something that's kind of rough for every team, right? When you don't really have the time that you want to have and to spend on the improving, right? But I think like the team is improving, and overall the vibe we have on the team is good. So we know that a game today, like even though we lost the game, like we're still really proud of it. Like I think even if we just talk like from yesterday to today, we have like better draft. I think we also came in with like good hopes, even though it was like the top team. Again, I talk about like Nativz as experienced players, and also show that today they know how to play against a good team fight composition and so on. So I think like I'm really proud of the boys, and I think like the showing me this today was really good. Like we had a bad early game, but we managed to come back into the game and actually give a good show to the viewers. So I think that's an important part.
Glad to hear it. Thank you so much for your time, Hipskull, and hopefully speak on better terms next week.
Yeah, let's do that. Good one.
With that, we're going to go directly over to the other team's coach here. We are joined by John, aka RNG LOL, here on the line. And this time around, we have you in color.
Yeah. Told you it would be the reward if we won.
Yep. So we got it. And I want to talk to you guys, because I've been having discussions with Dan Voxner on stream about when we've interviewed him after a lot of your post games about like some issues in terms of closing out games. Can you kind of like talk to us why was this game so hard for your guys to close out?
So the obvious answer is we want to play on side, want to split, whereas they want to group and team fight and whatever. So when issues happen where we get caught out, for example around Nash, you see the Aphelios coming in, stopping the bases, whatever, it becomes a bit of a mess, you know. That whole scenario, it wasn't great for us. So yeah, it's just pretty much making sure we're sticking to what it is our comp is good at doing, and not allowing the enemy to play to their strengths.
Yes, I kind of want to talk to you about as you're talking about playing the strength and stuff like that, but I want to talk to you about the Karthus pick, because I think everyone loves a good Karthus jungle game when the opportunity arises itself. And you guys made a pretty interesting decision with a double dematerializer in the bot lane to secure the priority. You were able to move around with the Karthus here. That was like, I assume that was always part of the game plan the second Karthus was drafted.
Yeah, so more so on the Karthus, I would say the link is with the mid laner as well in this Tristana, right? You've seen it yourself. Obviously, Vanir had a good counter pick into that with the Soraka, but it sort of enables that all in as well, where you can just pop people, you know. So in terms of the invades, level 1, obviously huge range advantage on the top side of the map. You know, you've got a Malphite, Annie versus Nar and Tristana, right? So it's a little bit easier for us to play for the invades because can't really do anything about it, right? I'm not really too sure how many picks they had that they could pull out to stop that from happening. And in terms of the bot side, obviously you need that to lean in to follow up the invade, because if you're only taking that one side, then you're still allowing the poppy to play the game and you're not really fully punishing it, right? Where we've seen more so a Flame Horizon at some point.
Yeah, we're definitely in and around there. One final question for you before we let you go and give the final debrief to the guy for the week. As we talked about initially before we started the season, this is your first while back with you being like the main coach of a team for an entire split, and now that we are 5-6 weeks into the, how are you finding it, like being back in the full-time coaching role? Like not full-time, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I mean, we're going 6 days a week, which is obviously very different from, you know, part-time or whatever I was doing previously. So it's just good to get back into the groove. And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure working with these guys so far.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, John. We are going to go to a short break here on the NLC broadcast, but when we come back, we will have even more action as Verdun tries to get revenge over Nord, who took them down last time.